Björn Waldegård, Swedish, son of a farmer and father of 3. One of the truly great names in the world of rally driving. It took a good deal of persistence and tact on our part before Waldegård allowed us to film him in his family circle. We observed him and his family at close quarters during one of the few brief periods he spends at home between rallying engagements. We followed, or rather pursued, the champion for 2 days, hoping to discover what it is that has made him so successful in a career spanning some 20 years.
Det är dags. Klockan är 7. Hörru, klockan är 7.
Björn Waldegård is a man of traditional values. My family means everything to me, he declares. I feel sorry for anyone who can't enjoy the warmth and closeness of the family unit. Although a firm believer in the traditional role of husband and father, he accepts that as a man, the kitchen is not necessarily off limits to him. His wife can rely on him to lend a helping hand whenever called upon to do so. In most respects, traditional values hold sway in the Waldegård household. The father is the acknowledged head of the family and the ultimate authority. One can't go about changing values in the world every few years, he says, making up new rules as you go along. It's presumptuous to think you can go it alone. You've got to hold on to your traditions and learn to use them properly. Taking the children to the school bus and collecting them later in the day is just one of the normally routine tasks which Waldegård is reluctant to delegate to anyone else when he is at home. For ordinary mortals, men who choose to drive at high speeds in noisy machines over some of the world's most hazardous terrain must appear slightly crazy. Even among peers, Björn Waldegård stands out as something special. For one thing, he's been in the first flight of rally drivers for almost twice as long as any of his rivals. He has a simple explanation for his continuing success as a top rally driver. I suppose it's just that I'm good at my job. Björn Waldegård is one of the most respected and feared competitors in rally driving. Perhaps the success Waldegård values most is his double victory in the East African Safari Rally, recognized as the world's greatest and most exciting. Year after year, Waldegård returns to the safari, the rally that, in his opinion, really separates the men from the boys. A camp has been set up in the middle of the savannah at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro. It houses teams of specialists, spares, repair equipment. Every possible eventuality is covered to ensure a Waldegård victory. Nothing is left to chance.
tycker jag.
Hej då, fröken.
Hej då.
Hej då.
Fisken nu då.
Hej då Mattias.
Får du stå där, Mattias? Titta på henne.
At long last, a son, Matthias, his third child and heir. It couldn't be any other way, says Waldegård. The family farm can only be transmitted to a son. In the same way, I will inherit it from my father when I give up rallying. It's really a question of carrying on the old values. It's always been this way. Clearly, for the time being, I'm not in a position to help in Matthias's upbringing as I should, as I'm hardly ever here. Meantime, he couldn't have a better educator than nature itself.
Björn och jag har varit gifta i 13
Björn and
år
I
snart.
have been married for 13 years.
Bara biltävlingar.
We met at a dance. I remember that all he was interested in was cars.
Jag började vara med lite.
When he turned professional, his intention was to quit after a couple of years, mainly for my sake.
Men annars tycker jag att det är
But
rätt
soon it
svårt
became our normal way of living.
när, ja, alla familjer är tillsammans.
Most of all, I find the Saturdays and Sundays when Björn is away the most depressing part of the week. My girlfriends are all busy with their own families, and I don't really want to disturb them. Instead of the 2 years as planned, we've been living this way for the whole 13 years of our marriage. As far as the future is concerned, I think Björn will take over his father's farm.
Vad han ska göra när han slutar, men att
A select number of cars have found a special place in Waldegård's affections. Now there was a fabulous car, he recalls. A great shame it's not in competition anymore. The occasions roll off his tongue. Monte Carlo, Portugal, Monaco, and the safari. Between two cities, Uppsala and Stockholm, and the airport of Arlanda, this for Waldegård is the center of the world. I was born here, and this is where I feel at home. If we want, we can be absolutely alone here. At the same time, the people who really matter to us are nearby. I'm not curious by nature, nor envious of anyone, but sometimes I ask myself what God must have had in mind when he created this countryside. A farmer in southern Europe has 8, 9, 10 months to sow and harvest. Here, for 7 or 8 months, we hardly even see the land. What farmer doesn't know what a couple of weeks of sun can mean? Often 30 degrees below 0 centigrade. 500 inhabitants, 500 neighbors, a church, no pub, a long, cold winter, and a world champion. On the rally routes of the world, from New Zealand to Monte Carlo to Argentina, Björn Waldegård is one of the fastest, but always his land calls him back. He's built himself a home, Even the largest house in the world, says Waldegård, isn't worth a thing if it isn't home to a real family. You need to keep your feet firmly on the ground, especially when you're at the top. What's it like down there? It was warmer in Nairobi. Waldegård takes a realistic attitude. For me, rallying is a pleasure. But I have to admit there is a lot of money in it too. It absorbs me completely. It also enables one to see the world, and in my particular case, learn English. Kenya, 2 days before the start of the safari rally. Björn Waldegård shares a few moments with Annalisa Abbott, widow of the late Carlo Abbott, Hanno Mikkola, his arch rival and good friend from Finland, his wife Arja, and co-driver Jan Torzelius. In rally circles, Waldegård is known as the farmer, tenacious and stubborn, the product of the harsh north. He takes it as a compliment. It implies an undoubted respect. Certainly, no other farmer can claim Björn Waldegård's record number of world-class victories in motor rallying. No doubt about it, young Matthias takes after his father. The competitive spirit runs in the family. "Who's winning?" he shouts as he leads the field during one of their cross-country skiing outings. The few days he is at home, Waldegård spends as much time as possible with his family. So many contrasts in landscape and weather can, in so short a time, affect even the toughest and most resilient of drivers. The last and next rallies are always present. One of Waldegård's recent successes, the Ivory Coast Rally. He chalks up another victory in a car that retired from competitive rallying in 1981. An excellent car, recalls Waldegård, but somewhat on the heavy side.
Eller en tvåa, då en gul tvåa. Har du någon mer åtta?
The only fear I have, says Waldegård, is adapting to normal life. Over the years, Waldegård has made various attempts at dovetailing his family life with his globe-trotting profession. The 1980 Acropolis rally especially, he feels, showed up the difficulties of successfully merging the two. Waldegård now feels the necessity of a decision. It's a decision he knows he cannot put off much longer. Matthias, are you going to drive the tractor today? Yes, Papa. Which tractor? The old one? Yes. Why? Because it's the better one? No. Because it's bigger. Björn Waldegård will of course take over his father's farm. It's early days yet, but he uses what time is left to him to keep abreast of new techniques and to practice farming methods on the land where he used to practice rallying in his younger days. Rallying is an interruption, a deviation from the demanding world of the farm, but a serious business nonetheless, to be taken as seriously as farming. Not everything can grow in this land. Only the hardiest plants, the most tenacious crops can withstand the adverse climate. Even the trees, beech and conifer, have to withstand a winter temperature of 50 degrees below zero. Life here is precious, which is precisely why it's always been valued so highly. For centuries, severe penalties were imposed upon anyone who profaned nature, the life of the profaner for the life of a tree. Even today, to cut down a tree, you need cogent and plausible reasons. I do not want to lose my piece of earth, confesses Waldegård. But at the same time, I want to continue my driving. So I take every opportunity to live my future in advance.
Vad tre var nu då? Matte, det där ser det kan du hugga på där. Du kan hugga där va? På den sidan så där ja. Hugg så där rätt ner på. Det är bra med det Matte. Ska du ta det till dig sen? Där borta. Titta på farfar. Där borta. Där kan du ta. Nu kan du gå dit och gå på före du så kan du börja där. Det blir fint så. Det där tre kan du hugga på det. Här, på den sidan ska du hugga. Här ska du hugga. Så ja. Det är bra där. Så hjälpa lite va? Det där.
Do you want to help grandfather when you're grown up? Yes.
Farfar? Ja. Det är bättre det? Ja. Jaha.
When I'm gone, you'll have to look after all this, Björn. These will have to be cut. But remember to keep at least 10 feet between each. I hope you'll still be around to show me. Let's hope so. Waldegård is sure of one thing. Once made, one must live with one's decision.